Emily sat in a bustling cafe, nursing her usual morning coffee while flipping through her latest novel. She'd always been a hopeless romantic, finding solace in stories where love blossomed unexpectedly. Today, however, felt different. She couldn't explain it, but the air buzzed with something new. Then, just as she was about to leave, she bumped into someone, spilling her coffee all over the man standing in front of her. "I am so sorry," she exclaimed, eyes wide with embarrassment. The man, his shirt drenched but face amused, chuckled. "No worries. Happens to the best of us," he said with a smile that made her heart skip a beat. His name was Daniel. Daniel had been having a rough week, but something about the way Emily fumbled through her apology made him forget his troubles for a moment. She was charming, in an unintentional way, and he found himself offering to buy her a fresh coffee. Emily hesitated but agreed, sensing an odd but comforting familiarity between them. As they sat down together, their conversation flowed easily, as if they had known each other for years. Little did they know, this accidental meeting would change the course of their lives forever. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Daniel's casual coffee meetups became more frequent. They found themselves talking about everything: work, family, their dreams, and disappointments. Emily was drawn to Daniel's easygoing nature, while Daniel admired Emily's passion for life. However, despite their connection, both of them carried emotional scars from past relationships. Emily had been through a bitter breakup, and Daniel had trust issues after being betrayed by someone he once loved deeply. One rainy afternoon, after another one of their coffee dates, Daniel found the courage to ask Emily out on an official date. Emily hesitated, the fear of being hurt again gnawing at her heart. But something about Daniel made her feel safe, so she agreed. As they exchanged shy smiles, neither of them realized that this small decision would set in motion a series of events that would test their courage, strength, and the true depth of their love. Emily spent an hour picking out her outfit for her first real date with Daniel, her nerves fluttering like butterflies in her stomach. She hadn't been on a date in over a year, and the idea of letting someone in again scared her. But as she looked at herself in the mirror, she smiled, feeling hopeful. Daniel arrived right on time, holding a single red rose, and when Emily saw him, she knew she had made the right choice. Dinner was at a small, intimate restaurant with dim lighting and soft music. Conversation flowed as easily as it always did between them, but there was a new, undeniable spark in the air. Emily and Daniel laughed, teased, and shared personal stories that brought them closer. By the end of the evening, as Daniel walked Emily home, they both knew this was the start of something special. Just as things between Emily and Daniel were going smoothly, Emily's ex, Mark, suddenly reappeared in her life. One afternoon, while she was running errands, she bumped into him at the grocery store. His presence shook her. Mark had been her first love, and their breakup had been messy and painful. He apologized for how things ended and hinted that he wanted to reconnect, leaving Emily confused and unsettled. Daniel noticed Emily pulling back, sensing something had changed. When he asked her about it, she hesitated, not wanting to hurt him. But Daniel had been open with her about his past, so she knew she owed him the truth. After some soul-searching, Emily told Daniel about her run-in with Mark, and while Daniel tried to hide it, she could see the hurt in his eyes. Would this be the first crack in their blossoming relationship? After their conversation about Mark, an uncomfortable distance began to form between Emily and Daniel. Emily felt guilty for letting her past haunt her, while Daniel struggled with insecurity, worried that Emily's unresolved feelings for her ex might come between them. They still met for coffee and dates, but the easy rhythm they'd found before seemed off. There were awkward silences where there once had been laughter, and doubts lingered in the air. Emily tried to convince herself that her run-in with Mark meant nothing, but deep down, she knew she needed closure. One night, she sat down with Daniel and opened up completely, admitting that while seeing Mark had brought back old memories, her heart was with Daniel now. Daniel listened, his heart pounding, and realized he needed to trust Emily if their relationship was going to survive. Daniel appreciated Emily's honesty, and slowly, they began to rebuild the trust that had faltered. He realized that the fear of losing her had come from his own insecurities, not from any real threat. They both agreed that their pasts didn't define them and decided to leave old wounds behind. With that understanding, their relationship grew stronger than before. They started to spend more time together, going on weekend trips, trying new hobbies, and truly enjoying each other's company. Daniel's trust in Emily deepened, and Emily felt freer than she had in years. For the first time in a long while, they both felt like they could have something lasting, something real. Things between Emily and Daniel were going well, and as a next step, Emily invited Daniel to meet her closest friends. It was a big deal for her. Her friends were like family, and their approval mattered. The group met for a casual brunch, and although Daniel was a little nervous, he charmed them with his warmth and humor. Emily couldn't help but smile as her best friend, Sarah, whispered, "He's a keeper," into her ear. But later that night, when Emily asked Daniel about introducing her to his friends, he became evasive. Emily sensed something was off, but she didn't press him. She didn't know it yet, but Daniel was hiding something from his past that he wasn't ready to reveal. Daniel's reluctance to introduce Emily to his friends began to weigh on her. She couldn't understand why he was so secretive, and although their relationship was growing stronger, this was the one part of his life he kept hidden. Every time Emily brought it up, Daniel would change the subject or brush it off, and it left her feeling unsure. One evening, while they were watching a movie, Emily finally confronted him about it. "Why won't you let me meet your friends, Daniel? What are you hiding from me?" Her directness caught him off guard, and he knew he couldn't avoid the conversation any longer. With a heavy sigh, he told her about a friendship that had gone horribly wrong, leading to a betrayal he had never fully recovered from. He wasn't sure he could trust anyone from his past, and that included his old friends. As Daniel opened up about the betrayal that had scarred him, Emily listened intently. He told her about his best friend, Jason, who had been like a brother to him. Years ago, Jason had secretly been involved with Daniel's then-girlfriend, and when the truth came out, it shattered Daniel's trust in everyone around him. Since then, he'd kept his circle small and avoided letting anyone too close. Emily was heartbroken for Daniel, understanding now why he had been so guarded. She reassured him that not everyone would hurt him like Jason had, and she was willing to take things at his pace. Daniel, for the first time in years, felt like he could finally begin to heal. After their conversation, Daniel made a promise to Emily that he would try to be more open, even if it scared him. He knew if he wanted their relationship to work, he needed to let go of the past and give Emily the love and trust she deserved. Emily, in turn, promised to be patient and understanding as he worked through his fears. Their bond deepened, and both of them felt like they had crossed an important threshold in their relationship. They spent a quiet evening together, knowing that this new chapter in their love story was just beginning. Emily and Daniel's relationship started to blossom in new ways. The understanding they had gained after their heart-to-heart gave them a sense of stability and trust. Emily felt she could rely on Daniel, and he, in turn, started to let down the walls he'd built around his heart. They shared laughter, secrets, and dreams for the future. For the first time in years, Daniel imagined what a life with someone might look like. But love is never without its challenges. As their relationship deepened, so did the demands of their lives. Emily's career as a marketing executive began to take off, leaving her with less time for spontaneous dates. Daniel's business was also growing, and he often found himself working late into the night. Though they were happy together, life began to test their commitment to one another. Weeks passed, and their once easy, breezy routine became cluttered with deadlines, meetings, and stress. Emily often found herself too tired for long phone calls, and Daniel began to feel neglected. "I miss us," he said one night after Emily cancelled dinner plans for the third time that month. She sighed, frustrated with herself for not finding the balance. Emily knew she had to prioritize her relationship. They scheduled a weekend getaway to a small seaside town, hoping to reignite the spark that had started to dim. The trip was exactly what they needed, a reminder of why they fell in love. Away from the noise of their busy lives, they found each other again in stolen kisses, long walks on the beach, and deep, late-night conversations. After the seaside trip, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that Emily was the one he wanted to spend his life with. Despite their ups and downs, she was the woman who made him laugh, challenged him, and understood him in ways no one else had. One day, while walking through the park, Daniel suddenly stopped, turning to Emily with a serious expression. "I know this might be sudden, but I want you in my life forever," he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Emily gasped, caught completely off guard. She wasn't expecting a proposal so soon, but as she looked into his eyes, she realized that this was the love she had always dreamed of. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Yes." The weeks following Daniel's proposal were filled with excitement. Emily couldn't stop smiling as she shared the news with her friends and family. Her parents were thrilled, her friends were supportive, and even Sarah, her best friend, was already planning the bachelorette party. Daniel, too, felt a new sense of joy, as though all the pieces of his life were finally falling into place. But amid the excitement, both Emily and Daniel knew that being engaged didn't mean their relationship would be without challenges. They were entering a new phase of their lives, one filled with big decisions, compromises, and the potential for unexpected obstacles. Still, they were ready to face whatever came their way together. As the wedding planning began, so did the pressure. Emily wanted a small, intimate ceremony, while Daniel's family, especially his mother, had grander ideas. Emily tried to accommodate everyone's wishes, but it soon became overwhelming. Between work, family, and the wedding, she started to feel like she was losing control. One evening, after a particularly stressful phone call with the wedding planner, Emily broke down in tears. Daniel held her, reassuring her that they could make the wedding their own, no matter what others expected. He reminded her that the day was about their love, not about meeting anyone else's expectations. After their emotional conversation, Emily and Daniel made a pact to plan the wedding they both wanted, without letting others' opinions take over. They decided on a simple ceremony at a vineyard, with only close friends and family. Emily felt a weight lift off her shoulders as they finalized the details. It wasn't about impressing anyone, it was about celebrating their love. The compromise brought them closer. Daniel admired how strong Emily was, even when things got tough, and Emily appreciated how supportive Daniel had been throughout the process. Their relationship felt more solid than ever as they approached their wedding day, both excited and nervous for the next chapter. The day of the wedding arrived, and it was everything they had hoped for. The vineyard was bathed in golden sunlight, the air filled with the scent of fresh flowers. Emily walked down the aisle in a flowing white gown, her heart pounding with love and excitement as she locked eyes with Daniel at the altar. He looked handsome in his suit, his eyes glistening with emotion. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt vows. As they exchanged rings, both Emily and Daniel knew they were committing not just to a life together, but to continuing the journey of growth, love, and understanding. Their first kiss as husband and wife felt like a promise of everything they would face, hand in hand. After the whirlwind of the wedding, Emily and Daniel escaped to a tropical island for their honeymoon. The days were filled with lazy mornings, sun-soaked afternoons, and romantic dinners by the beach. For the first time in what felt like ages, they had no obligations, no deadlines, just each other. They spent their time exploring the island, laughing at inside jokes, and dreaming about their future together. Emily felt completely at peace with Daniel by her side, and Daniel, in turn, realized that marrying Emily was the best decision he had ever made. The honeymoon was perfect, a beautiful start to their new life together. When they returned from the honeymoon, reality quickly set in. While married life was full of love and joy, it also came with its own set of challenges. Emily and Daniel had to adjust to living together full-time, learning each other's habits, quirks, and moods. The small differences that once seemed charming now became sources of minor irritation. But rather than let these differences pull them apart, they used them as opportunities to grow. They learned how to communicate better, how to argue constructively, and how to compromise when necessary. Marriage wasn't always easy, but they both believed it was worth the effort. A few months into their marriage, Emily was offered a major promotion at work. It was everything she had ever dreamed of, except it came with one catch. The position was in another city, meaning she and Daniel would have to relocate. Emily was thrilled but conflicted. She didn't want to disrupt their life together, especially when things were going so well. Daniel, always supportive, encouraged Emily to take the promotion. "We'll figure it out," he promised. "Your dreams are important too." His words gave Emily the courage to accept the offer, and soon they were packing their bags and preparing for a new chapter in a new city. The move to the new city was both exciting and nerve-wracking. Emily threw herself into her new role at work, thriving in the fast-paced environment. She was leading a team of creatives and finally seeing her hard work pay off. But with her new responsibilities came long hours and the pressure to perform. Daniel, meanwhile, was trying to adjust to the unfamiliar city and the new dynamics in their marriage. At first, Daniel enjoyed exploring the new place and meeting new people, but soon he began to feel isolated. His business was still based in their old city, and though he could work remotely, the lack of face-to-face interaction left him feeling disconnected. The excitement of the move began to fade as they both struggled to find their footing in this new chapter. As the months went on, the distance between Emily and Daniel grew not physically, but emotionally. Emily's demanding job left her exhausted, and Daniel started to resent how little time they spent together. When Emily came home late, Daniel often felt like he was no longer a priority. Conversations became strained, and small disagreements over household chores or plans with friends turned into bigger arguments. Emily, too, felt the weight of their drifting relationship. She missed the easy closeness they used to share, but she didn't know how to fix it without compromising the career she had worked so hard for. They both knew something had to change, but neither of them knew how to take the first step. One evening, after another tense dinner, Daniel broke the silence. "I miss you, Em," he said quietly, his voice tinged with sadness. "I miss us." Emily put down her fork, her own heart heavy with guilt. She had been so focused on her career that she hadn't realized just how distant they had become. "I miss us too," she admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. They talked late into the night, both expressing their fears, frustrations, and the love they still had for each other. For the first time in months, they truly listened. Emily realized that while her career was important, her marriage mattered even more. Daniel, too, saw that he needed to support her without resentment. They promised to find a balance together. After their conversation, Emily and Daniel decided to make changes. Emily spoke to her boss about adjusting her hours, ensuring she could be home earlier a few nights a week. She also made a conscious effort to be present when she was with Daniel, not just physically but emotionally. In return, Daniel sought out new business opportunities in the city to feel more engaged and less isolated. They also agreed to set aside dedicated time for just the two of them, a weekly date night, no phones, no distractions. Slowly but surely, the tension between them began to ease. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but they were working on it together, and that was what mattered. As they spent more time together, Emily and Daniel began to rediscover the fun and joy in their relationship. They started going on spontaneous weekend trips, exploring new restaurants, and even taking a dance class for the first time. These shared experiences helped them reconnect and reminded them of why they had fallen in love in the first place. One night, as they twirled around the dance floor, laughing at their clumsy attempts at salsa, Emily realized that it wasn't just the big romantic gestures that kept a marriage strong, it was the little moments, the shared laughter, and the effort to keep growing together. Daniel smiled at her, and she knew he felt the same. Just as things were getting back on track, Emily received unexpected news: she was pregnant. The realization hit her like a tidal wave of emotions: joy, fear, excitement, and uncertainty all at once. She and Daniel had talked about having kids eventually, but neither of them expected it to happen so soon. When she told Daniel, his reaction mirrored her own. He was thrilled, but also nervous about how they would handle the changes ahead. They both knew their lives were about to shift dramatically, and while they were ready for the adventure, they couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed by the unknown. As the months passed and Emily's belly grew, she and Daniel immersed themselves in preparations for the baby's arrival. They spent weekends painting the nursery, assembling furniture, and reading every parenting book they could get their hands on. Daniel took on more responsibilities at home to support Emily, and their relationship deepened as they navigated this new phase together. Despite the excitement, there were moments of doubt. Emily worried about balancing motherhood with her demanding career, and Daniel wondered if he was truly ready to be a father. But they reassured each other that, like every challenge they'd faced before, they would get through this together. As Emily's due date approached, the pressure began to mount. Work was more demanding than ever, and Emily found herself struggling to keep up. Her body was exhausted, and the constant influx of advice from well-meaning friends and family only added to her stress. One evening, after a particularly rough day, Emily snapped at Daniel over something trivial, and he, feeling frustrated and tired, snapped back. The argument escalated quickly, emotions running high. They both stormed off to separate rooms, but after some time apart, Daniel came back to her. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, sitting beside her on the couch. Emily, her anger faded, leaned against him. "Me too. I'm just scared," she admitted. The truth was, they both were. Parenthood was a huge unknown, but in that moment, they reminded each other that they weren't alone. One rainy night, Emily went into labor. The drive to the hospital was a blur of excitement and anxiety, and after hours of labor, they welcomed a beautiful baby girl into the world. They named her Sophie, and the moment Emily held her for the first time, all her fears melted away. Daniel stood beside her, his heart full, as he watched his wife and daughter together. The first few weeks were a whirlwind of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and emotional highs and lows. Parenthood was far more challenging than either of them had imagined, but as they navigated the exhaustion and uncertainty, they leaned on each other for support. Despite the chaos, they felt more connected than ever. Life with a newborn was everything Emily and Daniel had expected and more. The sleepless nights left them both exhausted, and the demands of caring for Sophie sometimes left little time for anything else. Emily took maternity leave, which gave her time to bond with Sophie, but Daniel, balancing work and fatherhood, often felt stretched thin. There were moments of frustration when both of them felt overwhelmed, but through it all, they found moments of joy, Sophie's first smile, late-night cuddles, and the quiet peace of watching their daughter sleep. They both realized that while parenthood was hard, it was also the most rewarding experience they had ever shared. As the months passed, Emily found herself at a crossroads. Her maternity leave was coming to an end, and the thought of returning to work filled her with mixed emotions. She loved her job, but she couldn't bear the thought of leaving Sophie for long hours. Daniel supported whatever decision she made, but she knew she needed to make the choice for herself. One evening, as they sat together after putting Sophie to bed, Emily confessed her worries to Daniel. "I don't know how to do it all," she said, her voice filled with uncertainty. Daniel took her hand, reassuring her that they could find a balance. Together, they brainstormed ideas, whether it was reducing her hours at work or hiring help at home. Emily realized that she didn't have to do everything alone. With Daniel's support, Emily decided to return to work part-time, allowing her to continue her career while also being present for Sophie. The transition was difficult at first, juggling work deadlines and motherhood often felt like spinning plates, but over time, they settled into a new routine. Emily would spend mornings with Sophie, then head to the office for a few hours before coming home to be with her family. Daniel also adjusted his work schedule, taking on more responsibilities at home to support Emily's decision. Their teamwork strengthened their bond, and they learned how to communicate more effectively about their needs and expectations. While life was busier than ever, they were making it work. Sophie's first birthday came faster than Emily and Daniel could have imagined. As they planned a small party with family and close friends, they couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in just 1 year. Parenthood had challenged them in ways they hadn't anticipated, but it had also brought them closer together. At the party, as Sophie giggled in her high chair, covered in cake, Emily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She and Daniel had faced many challenges both individually and as a couple, but they had come out stronger on the other side. Looking at Daniel, who was holding Sophie's tiny hand, she realized that this was the family she had always dreamed of. As things seemed to settle, an unexpected challenge appeared. At Emily's job, a new colleague named James joined the team. He was charming, charismatic, and seemed to show an interest in her that went beyond professional admiration. At first, Emily didn't think much of it, but over time, she noticed that she enjoyed the attention. It made her feel seen in a way she hadn't felt in a while, especially with the demands of motherhood and marriage. One evening, James asked if she wanted to grab a drink after work. Emily hesitated. She loved Daniel, but she couldn't deny the allure of escaping into a conversation with someone who didn't see her as just a mother or wife. Ultimately, she declined, but the temptation lingered in her mind, leaving her feeling conflicted. Meanwhile, Daniel was facing challenges of his own. His business had hit a rough patch, and the financial strain was beginning to weigh heavily on him. He didn't want to burden Emily with his worries, knowing she already had so much on her plate, but the stress was taking a toll on his mental health. He became withdrawn, spending more time at work, and their once strong communication began to falter. Emily noticed the change in Daniel, but was unsure how to approach him. She worried that bringing up her own feelings about work, James, and the distance between them would only add to his stress. They were both struggling in silence, unsure of how to bridge the growing gap between them. One evening, after a particularly tense day at work, Emily came home to find Daniel already asleep on the couch. She sat beside him, watching him sleep, and realized just how disconnected they had become. The love between them was still there, but the weight of life's challenges had built walls around them. Emily knew that if they didn't address the issues they were both facing, their relationship would continue to suffer. The next morning, Emily decided to have an open conversation with Daniel. Over breakfast, she gently brought up her concerns about the distance between them and how they both seemed to be carrying burdens alone. To her relief, Daniel admitted that he had been struggling too. It was the first honest conversation they had had in weeks, and while it didn't solve everything, it was a step toward healing. After their conversation, Emily and Daniel made a conscious effort to reconnect. They started going on regular date nights again, even if it was just a quick dinner at their favorite restaurant or a walk around the neighborhood. They also began talking more openly about their feelings and the challenges they were facing individually. Daniel confided in Emily about the struggles with his business, and she reassured him that they would get through it together. Meanwhile, Emily shared her experiences at work, including her complicated feelings about James. It was a difficult conversation, but Daniel appreciated her honesty. Their openness helped rebuild the trust and closeness that had been slipping away. As they continued to work on their relationship, Emily and Daniel realized that they didn't have to do everything on their own. They reached out to friends and family for support, whether it was asking Emily's parents to babysit Sophie for an evening or seeking advice from other couples who had been through similar struggles. They also considered counseling, knowing that it could provide a safe space to work through any lingering issues. The support they received made a world of difference. With the help of their loved ones, Emily and Daniel felt less isolated in their struggles. It was a reminder that they were not alone in this journey and that asking for help didn't make them weak, it made them stronger as a couple. As Daniel's business slowly began to recover, he received an exciting opportunity. A major client was interested in partnering with him for a long-term project that could significantly boost his business. It was a turning point for Daniel, who had been feeling uncertain about his future. The offer came with the potential for financial stability and new professional growth. Daniel shared the news with Emily, who was thrilled for him. After months of worrying about the future, it felt like a ray of hope. Daniel's renewed sense of purpose also lifted the tension that had been building between them. They celebrated the news with a quiet night at home, reflecting on how far they had come as a team. As Daniel's business began to thrive again, Emily noticed a shift in herself as well. Her experience with James at work had been a wake-up call, forcing her to confront the vulnerabilities in her marriage and within herself. She realized that the fleeting excitement of outside attention couldn't compare to the deep, meaningful connection she shared with Daniel. With this newfound clarity, Emily focused on nurturing her relationship with Daniel. She made an effort to be more present and engaged, appreciating the little moments they shared together. It wasn't about grand gestures, but about building a solid foundation that could withstand life's ups and downs. Together, they found a new perspective on love and partnership. With Daniel's business thriving and their marriage back on solid ground, Emily and Daniel felt a renewed sense of hope. Life wasn't without its challenges, but they had learned to navigate them together. One evening, while sitting on their porch, Daniel turned to Emily with a thoughtful look. "What do you think about having another baby?" he asked softly. Emily was surprised. She hadn't considered it, with everything that had been going on. But the more she thought about it, the more the idea grew on her. Sophie had brought so much joy into their lives, and the thought of expanding their family felt like a natural next step. Smiling, she nodded. "I think it's a beautiful idea." As they began trying for their second child, Emily and Daniel felt closer than ever. They approached this chapter of their lives with excitement and a deeper understanding of the challenges ahead. Unlike when they were first expecting Sophie, they were more prepared, more patient, and more grounded in their roles as parents and partners. Months passed, and despite their efforts, Emily wasn't getting pregnant. It was frustrating, and Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment each month. But Daniel, always her rock, reminded her that they needed to trust the process and not lose hope. They knew that no matter what happened, they had each other. After a year of trying with no success, Emily and Daniel decided to consult a doctor. The tests revealed that getting pregnant again might be more difficult than they had anticipated. The news hit Emily hard, and for the first time in a long while, she felt overwhelmed with doubt and sadness. She had always envisioned a big family, and now that dream seemed uncertain. Daniel, though equally disappointed, remained supportive. He held Emily during the nights when she couldn't stop crying and reminded her that they already had so much to be thankful for. Slowly, Emily began to accept that their path to a second child might look different than they had originally planned. Together, they discussed other options, including adoption. Adoption became a serious topic of conversation for Emily and Daniel. After weeks of research and talking with other families who had adopted, they decided to start the process. The journey was long and filled with paperwork, interviews, and endless waiting. But through it all, they remained hopeful, knowing that this was a new way to grow their family. The decision to adopt also brought them closer to their community. Friends and family rallied around them, offering support and advice. Emily and Daniel felt surrounded by love, which gave them the strength to keep going, even during the difficult moments of waiting and uncertainty. Months into the adoption process, just when Emily and Daniel were starting to feel the weight of the waiting, they received an unexpected call. A birth mother had chosen them. The news filled their hearts with joy and nerves all at once. They had prepared for this moment, but now that it was here, the reality felt overwhelming. The birth mother wanted to meet them before the final decision was made. Nervous but hopeful, Emily and Daniel drove to the meeting, holding hands the entire way. When they met the birth mother, they instantly connected. She shared her story, and they listened with compassion. By the end of the meeting, they knew this was the beginning of a beautiful, albeit different, journey to expanding their family. A few months later, their adopted son, Jack, was born. Holding him for the first time, Emily felt the same overwhelming love she had experienced when Sophie was born. Jack may not have come into their lives the way they had originally expected, but he was every bit as loved and cherished. Sophie, now a curious toddler, was excited about her new baby brother. Watching her interact with Jack filled Emily and Daniel with a sense of pride. Their family, though different than they had imagined years ago, was perfect in its own way. They had learned that love wasn't limited by biology, it was about the connection and commitment they had to each other. With 2 children now in the house, life was busier than ever. Emily and Daniel worked together to create a new routine that balanced work, parenthood, and their relationship. The chaos of having a toddler and a newborn was intense, but they found joy in the small moments. Sophie's giggles, Jack's first coos, and the quiet nights spent together after the kids were asleep. Daniel's business continued to thrive, and Emily found fulfillment in her part-time work. Though life was hectic, they had learned how to prioritize their relationship amidst the demands of parenthood. Their weekly date nights, even if just spent watching a movie on the couch, were sacred, and they made sure to stay connected. As Sophie grew older and more independent, Emily and Daniel faced new parenting challenges. Sophie was a bright, curious child with a strong will, and as she entered her preschool years, her stubbornness often led to power struggles. Emily sometimes found herself exhausted by Sophie's constant energy and defiance, unsure of how to handle it. Daniel, too, struggled with the challenges of fatherhood. Jack, who was now a toddler, was more reserved and quiet, and Daniel worried that he wasn't connecting with his son as deeply as he had with Sophie. These parenting struggles weighed on both of them, but they worked together to support each other, seeking advice from other parents and learning as they went. As the years passed, Sophie started school, and Jack followed soon after. With both kids in school, Emily and Daniel found themselves in a new phase of life. One where they had a bit more time for themselves and each other. They enjoyed the quieter mornings and afternoons when the kids were at school, using the time to reconnect and pursue their own interests. Emily, in particular, felt a renewed sense of purpose. She started working on a passion project that she had put off for years, writing a book about her experiences with motherhood, marriage, and the ups and downs of life. Daniel supported her every step of the way, proud of how far they had come together. As their 10th wedding anniversary approached, Emily and Daniel planned a special getaway to celebrate. They hadn't taken a vacation without the kids in years, and they were both excited to have some time alone together. The trip was filled with long walks on the beach, quiet dinners, and deep conversations about their journey over the past decade. On their last night, as they watched the sunset, Daniel took Emily's hand and said, "We've been through so much together, but I wouldn't change a thing." Emily smiled, her heart full of love and gratitude. They had weathered storms, faced heartbreak, and grown as individuals and as a couple. And through it all, their love had endured. After returning from their anniversary trip, Emily and Daniel found themselves even more in sync. The time away had rejuvenated them, allowing them to reflect on how much they had been through and how far they had come. With a decade of marriage behind them, they felt stronger, more united, and more prepared for whatever the future might bring. Back home, life resumed its normal rhythm, but something had shifted. Emily felt more confident in her role as a mother and wife, while Daniel approached his work and fatherhood with a renewed sense of purpose. They had learned that life wasn't about avoiding challenges, but about facing them together, one step at a time. As Sophie entered second grade, her curiosity about the world grew stronger. She had always been an independent child, and now she was eager to try new things. One day, she came home from school excitedly telling her parents about the school's science club. "I want to be a scientist," she declared. Emily and Daniel were thrilled to see Sophie's passion ignited. They encouraged her to join the club and even helped her set up a small experiment station at home. Watching Sophie immerse herself in her projects filled them with pride. It was a reminder of the importance of nurturing their children's dreams, just as they had supported each other's over the years. At work, Daniel was presented with a major opportunity, a chance to expand his business internationally. It was an exciting prospect that could open up new doors for him, but it also came with a catch: it would require extensive travel. The thought of being away from Emily and the kids for weeks at a time weighed heavily on his mind. After discussing it with Emily, Daniel found himself torn. On one hand, this was the career breakthrough he had been working towards for years. On the other, he didn't want to miss out on time with his family, especially as Jack and Sophie were growing up so quickly. Ultimately, Daniel decided to take some time to reflect before making a final decision. Emily understood Daniel's dilemma. She wanted to support his dreams, but she also didn't want their family to suffer from his absence. After long conversations, they came to a compromise. Daniel would take on the international project, but with limits. He would ensure that his trips were never too long, and they would make use of technology to stay connected as a family during his travels. The compromise wasn't perfect, but it was one they could live with. They had learned that balancing personal ambition with family life required flexibility and communication. As Daniel prepared for his first trip, Emily reassured him that they would be okay, and that they would face this new challenge together. With Daniel traveling for work, Emily found herself adjusting to solo parenting for the first time. It wasn't easy between managing the kids' schedules, her own work, and the household. There were days when she felt completely overwhelmed. But she also discovered a new strength within herself. She could handle more than she had ever realized. To keep the family close, Emily and the kids would have video calls with Daniel every evening. Sophie loved telling her dad about her science projects, while Jack proudly showed off his artwork. Though they missed Daniel's presence, they found comfort in these moments of connection, knowing that he was doing important work but would always come home to them. As the months passed, the family settled into a new routine. Daniel's trips became part of their normal life, and Emily became more adept at handling the household on her own. They were learning how to make the best of a challenging situation, supporting each other even from a distance. During one of Daniel's longer trips, Emily decided to surprise him with a video montage of family moments: Sophie's science experiments, Jack's soccer games, and quiet moments from their day-to-day life. When Daniel watched the video, tears filled his eyes. It was a reminder that, no matter where he was in the world, his family was always with him in spirit. One evening, while Emily was getting the kids ready for bed, she heard the door open. To her surprise, Daniel walked in, suitcases in hand, with a big smile on his face. "I'm home early," he said, wrapping his arms around her. The kids rushed to him, squealing with delight. It was a moment of pure joy, an unexpected reunion that lifted their spirits. Emily later found out that Daniel had decided to cut his trip short, realizing that no business opportunity was more important than being with his family. They spent the evening catching up, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. The distance had made their bond even stronger, and they were grateful for every moment they had together. While Daniel's career was flourishing, Emily began to feel a growing sense of ambition in her own life. Her passion project, the book she had started writing, was gaining traction, and she began to think about publishing it. But with the demands of family life, she wasn't sure if she could balance it all. One evening, as she sat down with Daniel to talk about her dreams, he listened attentively. "You've supported me in everything I've done," he said. "It's time for me to do the same for you." With Daniel's encouragement, Emily decided to take the plunge and pursue her dream of becoming a published author, excited for what the future held. As Emily dove deeper into her writing, she found herself juggling her roles as a mother, wife, and aspiring author. Some days were chaotic, with deadlines looming and the kids demanding her attention, but she found solace in her creative work. Writing became her outlet, a way to process her experiences and channel her emotions. Daniel, true to his word, stepped up to support Emily. He took on more responsibilities at home, making sure she had time to focus on her writing. It wasn't always easy, there were moments of frustration and exhaustion, but together, they learned how to balance their individual goals with their shared responsibilities as parents and partners. Emily's hard work paid off when she received an offer from a publisher interested in her book. The news was thrilling, but also intimidating. Emily had poured her heart and soul into her writing, and now the idea of sharing it with the world made her feel vulnerable. What if people didn't like it? What if it wasn't good enough? Daniel reassured her, reminding her of all the challenges she had overcome. "You've faced bigger fears than this," he said. "And look where you are now." With his support, Emily found the courage to accept the offer, ready to take the next step in her journey as a writer. As the day of Emily's book launch approached, excitement mixed with anxiety. It was a culmination of years of hard work and deeply personal reflections, and now the world was about to read her story. Daniel and the kids were her biggest cheerleaders, planning a small party at home to celebrate the milestone. Sophie, always creative, designed a poster that said, "Go Mom. We love you." The launch day was a whirlwind of emotions. Emily's book was received with praise, and her phone buzzed constantly with congratulations from friends and family. The support was overwhelming, but it was Daniel's quiet pride and the children's eager excitement that meant the most to her. In that moment, Emily realized she had found a perfect balance between family, love, and her dreams. With Emily's success as a published author, her life changed in unexpected ways. Invitations to speak at book events, radio interviews, and writing workshops started pouring in. But with these new opportunities came the challenge of managing her time. She loved her family, but now her career was growing in ways she had never anticipated. Daniel and Emily worked hard to stay grounded. They both understood that supporting each other's dreams meant finding ways to keep their connection strong amidst the chaos. They kept their weekly date nights sacred and made sure to schedule time for family outings, knowing that keeping their family close was their top priority. As Sophie grew older, she began to exhibit her parents' independent streak. Now a preteen, she was eager to explore her interests outside the family. She joined new clubs at school, started going to sleepovers, and spent more time with friends. While Emily and Daniel were proud of her growth, they couldn't help but feel the bittersweet pangs of watching their little girl grow up. Sophie's growing independence led to moments of friction. She often challenged her parents' rules and questioned their decisions, especially when it came to her freedom. Emily and Daniel struggled to balance giving her space to grow and keeping her grounded in their values. Through it all, they kept the lines of communication open, knowing that their relationship with Sophie was the foundation of her emotional growth. While Sophie embraced her independence, Jack remained the quiet, introspective child. He was always observant, more interested in art and reading than the boisterous activities that excited his older sister. Emily worried sometimes that Jack wasn't as social or outgoing as other kids his age, but Daniel reassured her. "He's just like me," Daniel said. "Let him grow at his own pace." Jack's creativity flourished when Daniel helped him build a small art studio in the backyard. Painting became Jack's escape, and soon his talent caught the attention of his teachers and classmates. Daniel's belief in Jack paid off when Jack won an art competition at school, something that filled their hearts with pride. They realized that each child's path was unique, and it was their role as parents to nurture that individuality. As their children continued to grow and change, Emily and Daniel found themselves reflecting more and more on their journey together. The ups and downs, the the heartbreaks and joys, had shaped them into stronger individuals and a resilient couple. Their home was a sanctuary filled with love, laughter, and the occasional challenges, but they wouldn't trade it for anything. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Daniel turned to Emily and said, "Can you believe how far we've come?" Emily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "It feels like we've lived a lifetime, but we're just getting started." They both knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. Life had settled into a comfortable rhythm when one day, an unexpected visitor arrived at their door. It was Daniel's estranged father, who had walked out on their family years ago. The sight of him stirred a flood of emotions in Daniel: anger, confusion, and even a glimmer of hope that he didn't want to admit to himself. Emily, ever the peacemaker, encouraged Daniel to hear his father out. Hesitant but willing, Daniel agreed to sit down with his father. The conversation was difficult and filled with raw emotions. Daniel's father apologized for his mistakes, acknowledging the pain he had caused. Though forgiveness wasn't immediate, it marked the beginning of a healing process that Daniel hadn't realized he needed. Over the next few months, Daniel and his father slowly rebuilt their relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when Daniel questioned whether it was worth it. But as time passed, he realized that holding on to resentment only hurt him. By forgiving his father, he was giving himself the freedom to move forward without the burden of anger. Emily supported Daniel throughout this emotional journey. She had always believed in the power of forgiveness, and seeing Daniel heal brought a sense of peace to their family. The experience taught their children an important lesson: forgiveness isn't about excusing someone's actions, but about letting go of the pain they caused. With her first book a success, Emily decided to start working on her second. This time, she wanted to write about her journey of motherhood and the lessons she had learned along the way. The process was different from her first book: more reflective, more personal. She poured her heart into each chapter, determined to share the wisdom she had gained through her experiences. Daniel and the kids were excited to see Emily once again immersed in her passion. They knew how important writing was to her, and they supported her fully. As she neared the completion of her second book, Emily felt a deep sense of accomplishment. This book wasn't just about her. It was about the family she had built and the love that had sustained them through every challenge. As Jack entered his teenage years, he began experiencing the awkward and exciting emotions of a first crush. He confided in Emily one evening, nervously admitting that he liked a girl from his art class. Emily smiled, remembering her own youthful romances. "It's completely normal," she reassured him. "Just be yourself." Jack, shy by nature, struggled to express his feelings. But with his parents' guidance, he found the courage to talk to his crush. Though things didn't go exactly as planned, the experience was a milestone for Jack. It was a reminder to Emily and Daniel that their children were growing up fast, navigating their own journeys toward love and self-discovery. With Daniel's relationship with his father mending, the family decided to plan a reunion. It was the first time in years that Daniel's side of the family would come together. The idea filled Daniel with both excitement and trepidation. Old wounds hadn't fully healed, but there was hope that this gathering would bring closure and new beginnings. The reunion was emotional, filled with moments of joy, awkwardness, and healing. Daniel's father, now more humble and reflective, took the opportunity to reconnect with his grandchildren. By the end of the weekend, Daniel realized that, while their family's past couldn't be changed, the future was theirs to shape. It was a powerful reminder that love and forgiveness could bridge even the deepest divides. As the release date for Emily's second book approached, excitement buzzed in the air. She planned a release party that would showcase not only her new book but also her journey as a mother. Friends and family rallied to support her, and she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the community around her. The night of the party was a beautiful celebration. Guests filled their home, sharing laughter, stories, and encouragement. Daniel proudly introduced Emily to everyone, and as she spoke about her writing journey, tears of joy filled her eyes. Surrounded by loved ones, Emily felt her heart swell with appreciation for the life she had built and the lessons she had learned along the way. While Emily's career soared, the challenges of parenthood remained ever present. Sophie and Jack were now navigating the tumultuous waters of adolescence, filled with insecurities and social pressures. Emily often found herself reflecting on how to guide them through these challenges without imposing her own fears or experiences. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Sophie opened up to Emily about her struggles at school. "I feel like I don't fit in," she confessed, her voice trembling. Emily knelt beside her, sharing her own experiences of feeling out of place as a teen. In that moment, they bonded over shared vulnerabilities, reminding Sophie that it was okay to feel uncertain and that she was never alone in her struggles. As Jack continued to explore his artistic talents, he discovered a passion for photography. He began capturing the beauty of the world around him through his lens, finding solace in expressing himself creatively. His parents recognized the joy this new hobby brought him and encouraged his exploration, attending his photography exhibit at school. During the exhibit, Emily and Daniel were in awe of Jack's talent. His photographs conveyed emotions that resonated with the viewers. In that moment, they realized that Jack was carving out his own identity, and they felt immense pride in nurturing his individuality. They knew that supporting his passion was essential to helping him thrive in a world that often felt overwhelming. As Sophie faced the trials of adolescence, she often felt torn between wanting to be independent and the comfort of her family. She began to test boundaries, occasionally pushing back against her parents' rules. One evening, after a disagreement over her curfew, Sophie stormed off to her room, leaving Emily feeling heartbroken and helpless. Recognizing that their relationship was at a critical point, Emily decided to approach Sophie gently the next day. She left a note on her door, inviting her to talk whenever she felt ready. When they finally sat down, they opened up about their feelings. Through patience and understanding, they were able to navigate this challenging phase of their relationship, learning that honesty was vital to maintaining their bond. As Daniel's international business expanded, he faced new challenges and opportunities. He was approached by a potential partner who offered a lucrative deal, but it would require a significant investment of time and resources. Daniel weighed the pros and cons carefully, knowing that taking this step could impact his family life. In discussions with Emily, they explored the possibilities together. They weighed the potential benefits against the sacrifices it could demand from their family time. Ultimately, Daniel decided to take a cautious approach, opting to explore the opportunity further while ensuring that his family remained his top priority. This decision strengthened their partnership, as they continued to navigate the complexities of life as a team. With Daniel's business growing and Emily's writing career flourishing, the couple found themselves grappling with the challenge of maintaining a healthy balance. The kids were busy with school, activities, and their own struggles, and the demands on their time seemed never-ending. Recognizing the importance of connection, they established family nights, dedicated to spending quality time together without distractions. Whether it was game nights, movie marathons, or cooking together, these evenings became sacred. It was a reminder that amidst the chaos of their busy lives, their love for each other and their family remained the anchor that held them together. The school dance was near and the anticipation filled the air. Sophie was both excited and anxious about attending her first dance. She confided in Emily about her worries. "What if I don't know anyone? What if no one asks me to dance?" Emily comforted her, sharing stories of her own awkward dance experiences. Together, they picked out a beautiful dress that made Sophie feel confident and beautiful. The night of the dance, as Sophie left with her friends, Emily and Daniel exchanged proud smiles, knowing that their daughter was growing into a strong young woman ready to face the world. The school dance turned out to be a memorable night for Sophie. She danced, laughed, and even had her first slow dance with a boy she liked. But when she came home, she felt a pang of disappointment when she learned that some of her friends had shared hurtful rumors about her. Feeling hurt and betrayed, Sophie opened up to Emily. In this moment, Emily emphasized the importance of trust and communication. "Not everyone will understand you, but always remember your worth," she advised. Together, they crafted a plan for Sophie to address the rumors and take the high road, showing her that integrity is essential even in challenging situations. With his photography passion ignited, Jack received an opportunity to showcase his work in a local gallery. This news filled him with excitement and nervousness. The thought of sharing his art with the world was exhilarating but terrifying. Daniel and Emily recognized the significance of this opportunity and rallied around Jack. They helped him prepare for the exhibit, offering support and encouragement as he navigated the emotions of putting his work on display. When the day finally arrived, Jack beamed with pride as he saw others appreciate his art, realizing that vulnerability could lead to incredible connections. As the months rolled on, the family experienced the bittersweet reality of growing pains. Sophie continued to explore her independence, often testing boundaries while Jack flourished in his artistic pursuits. With each child carving their own path, Emily and Daniel found themselves reflecting on their roles as parents. One evening, they had a heart-to-heart discussion about the importance of supporting their children's dreams while setting boundaries. They recognized that parenting was an evolving journey, one that required constant adaptation and open communication. Together, they committed to navigating this phase of their lives with love and understanding. During one of Emily's book signings, she met a fellow author named Mia, who quickly became a close friend. They bonded over their shared experiences in motherhood and writing, supporting each other through their respective journeys. Emily found comfort in having someone who understood the challenges of balancing family life with career aspirations. Mia introduced Emily to a writing group, where they could share ideas and encourage one another. This newfound friendship reinvigorated Emily's creative spirit and provided her with a supportive community that made her feel less alone in her endeavors. As she watched Mia flourish as an author, Emily felt inspired to push herself further in her writing journey. Encouraged by the success of his gallery showcase, Jack's confidence began to grow. He decided to enter a national photography competition, an opportunity that filled him with both excitement and trepidation. The thought of sharing his work on a larger platform was both thrilling and intimidating. Daniel and Emily rallied behind Jack, reminding him that taking risks was part of growth. They encouraged him to embrace his unique perspective and remind him that the process was just as important as the outcome. Jack poured his heart into his submission, and when he finally sent it off, he felt a sense of accomplishment that transcended the competition itself. As Emily became more immersed in her writing career, she began to realize the importance of self-care. Balancing family life, writing, and friendships often left her feeling drained. One evening, after a particularly hectic day, she sat down with Daniel and admitted she needed to take some time for herself. Understanding her need for self-care, Daniel encouraged Emily to schedule regular me time. They devised a plan where Emily could pursue her interests, whether it was taking a yoga class, reading, or simply having quiet moments to reflect. This shift not only helped Emily recharge but also brought a sense of balance to their family life. With Jack's competition deadline approaching, he began to feel the pressure. Emily noticed his stress and encouraged him to express his feelings. After a heartfelt conversation, Jack admitted he was afraid of failing. Emily reassured him that it was okay to feel vulnerable and that the journey was just as important as the destination. Daniel stepped in to support Jack, helping him practice his presentation skills. Through their teamwork, they learned the value of facing challenges together. The experience taught them all that vulnerability could lead to growth and understanding, strengthening their family bond. The day of Jack's competition finally arrived. With nervous excitement, he presented his work to the judges, feeling the weight of his family's support behind him. Whether he won or not, the experience itself was a triumph, showcasing his talent and creativity. When the results were announced, Jack's heart raced. Although he didn't win, he received an honorable mention. His family erupted in applause, and Jack felt a surge of pride. They celebrated not only his achievement but also the courage he showed in participating. It was a lesson in resilience, reminding them all that success isn't just about winning but about the journey taken. As a new month approached, Sophie faced a turning point in her life. After a challenging year filled with ups and downs, she decided it was time to embrace who she was fully. Inspired by her mother's journey, she began writing her own blog, sharing her experiences and thoughts about navigating adolescence. Emily was incredibly proud of Sophie's initiative. They spent afternoons together, brainstorming topics and discussing how to connect with readers. Sophie's writing became a cathartic outlet for her emotions, and as she shared her stories, she discovered the power of her voice. The blog quickly gained a small following, fostering a sense of community that helped Sophie feel understood and accepted. With the arrival of a new season, Emily and Daniel planned a family vacation. They decided on a beach destination, knowing the sun, sand, and relaxation would be the perfect remedy for their busy lives. The trip was filled with laughter, bonding, and new experiences that reignited their family connection. At the beach, the family participated in various activities, from building sandcastles to snorkeling. They spent evenings sharing stories around a bonfire, where the children shared their dreams and aspirations. The vacation reminded them of the importance of taking breaks from their hectic lives, and they returned home feeling rejuvenated and more connected than ever. Back from vacation, Sophie's blog gained traction, and she started connecting with other young writers online. Through these interactions, she began to develop friendships that transcended her local experience. However, as she navigated these new relationships, she encountered challenges, including jealousy and misunderstandings. One evening, after a heated argument with a friend online, Sophie felt discouraged. She confided in Emily, who shared her own experiences with friendships and the importance of open communication. They discussed ways to handle conflicts maturely, emphasizing that not every friendship would last, but the lessons learned were invaluable. This conversation empowered Sophie to handle her relationships with grace and maturity. Inspired by his photography journey, Jack decided to take his passion a step further. He approached his parents with an idea for a community project, creating a photo book showcasing the stories and faces of local residents. He envisioned capturing the essence of their small town through his lens. Emily and Daniel wholeheartedly supported Jack's initiative. They helped him outline a plan, encouraging him to interview residents and document their stories alongside the photographs. The project not only ignited Jack's creativity but also connected him to his community in a meaningful way, teaching him the value of storytelling and empathy. With her newfound confidence and community connections through her writing, Emily decided to get more involved locally. She volunteered at a local literacy program, helping adults improve their reading and writing skills. The experience was eye-opening and deeply fulfilling, reminding her of the transformative power of storytelling. As Emily shared her writing journey with her students, she found herself inspired by their determination. Their stories were filled with resilience and hope, reinforcing her belief in the importance of sharing one's narrative. Through this experience, Emily not only gave back to her community but also gained a deeper appreciation for her own journey. As Daniel's business flourished, he recognized the importance of giving back. He began mentoring young entrepreneurs in his community, offering guidance and support to those looking to start their own businesses. This new role brought him immense joy as he shared his knowledge and experiences. Through mentoring, Daniel discovered a renewed passion for his work. He connected with young minds eager to learn, and together they navigated the challenges of entrepreneurship. This experience reminded him of the power of community and the importance of uplifting one another, enriching both his life and the lives of those he mentored. The family decided to establish new traditions that would strengthen their bond. They brainstormed ideas for fun activities they could do together throughout the year, from seasonal festivals to family game nights. The conversations sparked excitement, reminding them of the importance of creating lasting memories. One weekend, they embarked on a tradition of visiting a local corn farm. Laughter filled the air as they navigated the corn mazes. The visit brought them closer together, filling their home with warmth and love that they cherished during the months ahead. As Sophie continued to grow, she faced new challenges with her blog and friendships. One day, she experienced a setback when a negative comment from a peer made her question her worth as a writer. Feeling disheartened, she turned to Emily for advice. Emily reminded Sophie that every writer faces criticism and that it's important to focus on the positive impact her words can have. They discussed the value of resilience and learning from constructive feedback. With her mother's encouragement, Sophie found the strength to rise above negativity and continue sharing her voice. Excited about his community project, Jack organized a photography showcase at the local community center. The event featured his portraits and stories of residents, celebrating the diversity and richness of their town. With Emily and Daniel's support, Jack worked tirelessly to prepare for the big day. On the night of the showcase, the community came out in full force. Jack felt a rush of pride as he shared the stories behind each photograph. The experience was not only a milestone in his artistic journey but also a reminder of the connections he had forged within his community. His parents beamed with pride, witnessing Jack's confidence shine through. With Daniel's business continuing to grow, he faced a difficult decision: whether to expand his company further or focus on maintaining the quality of his current operations. The choice weighed heavily on him, as he didn't want to sacrifice his family time for the sake of business. He sat down with Emily to discuss his options. They weighed the pros and cons together, emphasizing the importance of balance. Ultimately, Daniel decided to prioritize quality over quantity, knowing that his family's happiness and well-being were paramount. This decision reinforced the strength of their partnership, as they navigated the challenges of life together. As Jack's passion for photography deepened, he expressed a desire to attend a photography workshop. The opportunity excited him, but it came with a hefty price tag. Emily and Daniel discussed how to support Jack while instilling the value of hard work and independence. They decided to work with Jack to set up a plan. He would contribute a portion of his allowance and take on extra chores to help fund the workshop. This decision not only empowered Jack to pursue his passion, but also taught him important lessons about responsibility and commitment. As the holiday season approached, the family reflected on the importance of community. They decided to volunteer together at a local shelter, preparing meals and distributing food to those in need. The experience opened their eyes to the struggles faced by many in their community. Working together brought the family closer, reinforcing the values of empathy and gratitude. They realized that even small acts of kindness could make a significant difference in someone's life. The holiday spirit filled their hearts, reminding them of the importance of giving back and supporting one another. As the new year began, Sophie experienced a breakthrough in her writing journey. She received an invitation to contribute to a youth magazine, showcasing her blog posts and insights about growing up. The opportunity filled her with excitement and nerves, but she felt empowered to share her voice with a larger audience. Emily and Daniel cheered her on, helping her prepare for the upcoming deadline. Sophie poured her heart into her writing, and when the issue featuring her work hit the stands, she felt a sense of accomplishment that solidified her confidence as a writer. It was a reminder that her experiences and stories mattered. With the start of a new school year, Jack's photography ambitions continued to flourish. He decided to start an after-school photography club, inviting fellow students to join him in exploring their passion for art. His leadership role ignited a new sense of purpose and community among his peers. Through the club, Jack shared his knowledge and enthusiasm, fostering creativity and collaboration. The experience taught him valuable lessons about leadership and the importance of supporting others in their pursuits. His parents watched with pride as Jack embraced this new chapter in his life. As the year came to a close, Emily and Daniel reflected on their journey together. They realized that love, resilience, and understanding had been the cornerstones of their family. Each challenge and triumph had shaped their lives and forged unbreakable bonds. In a heartfelt moment, they expressed their gratitude for each other and their children. They recognized that their love story was not just about them, but about the legacy they were building for their family. Together, they embraced the future, knowing that with love as their foundation, they could face any challenge that lay ahead. Morals of the story: the power of communication, open and honest conversations can bridge gaps between family members, fostering understanding and connection during challenging times. Resilience in the face of challenges: life is filled with obstacles, but embracing resilience and learning from failures can lead to personal growth and stronger relationships. The importance of community: building connections within your community can provide support, friendship, and a sense of belonging, enriching our lives and the lives of others. Embracing individuality: it's crucial to recognize and celebrate our unique identities while respecting the individuality of others. Each person's journey is valid and worthy of recognition. Balancing aspirations with family life: pursuing personal ambitions is important, but maintaining a healthy balance with family and relationships is vital for overall well-being and happiness. Acts of kindness matter. Small acts of kindness can have a profound impact on those around us. Giving back to the community not only helps others, but also strengthens our own sense of purpose and gratitude. The value of hard work: achieving goals often requires dedication and hard work. It's important to instill the value of responsibility in younger generations, teaching them that perseverance pays off. Learning from criticism: constructive feedback is a valuable part of growth. Embracing it with an open heart can help us improve and strengthen our resolve to pursue our passions. Cherishing family bonds: the love and support of family are the foundation of personal growth and happiness. Investing time and effort into family relationships leads to lasting joy. forgiveness and understanding. Mistakes are a part of life, and learning to forgive ourselves and others allows for healing and moving forward in relationships. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video.